Matthew.
Sorry. Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks a lot for this briefing. I wanted to ask kind of the rise of Islamic State, or however, ISIS or ISIL, however you call it. Many people are seeing it as sort of like there may be a trend, but this is quite a negative and very public move. How do you see it as? Do you see this as representing any kind of backsliding beyond itself, or what would be your comment on the things that have happened publicly by Islamic State in terms of women's rights? And as to the UN itself, I wanted to know if UN Women is involved in, for example, there are various recruitments going on to maybe in disarmament, definitely for OCHA, very public recruitments of senior officials. What's the role of ensuring that there are women candidates and possibly women successor to women officials? And finally, also on the situation in UN peacekeeping, there was these rapes in Tabit in Darfur, where it seems like the mission kind of covered them up and said everything was fine, everyone got along with the government, and a lot of action, but no actual entry since to reinvestigate them. What's UN Women's role in making sure that the UN system follows through on that? Thanks a lot.
Okay. So in the rise of this extreme, violent, and cruel form of terrorism that we're seeing in the world, in which women actually are in the eye of the storm because they actually target women, and that is why we're saying that the shape of the nature of the conflict now has actually changed for women. We've said before, with the figure that about 70% in every conflict, 7% of casualties will be women and children, it is even worse and more cruel now. And in fact, it is indeed, in many parts of the world, more dangerous to be a woman than to be a soldier in these times of conflict. There's a dedicated method to target and humiliate women, to take them and away from spoils of war, almost like you are in the medieval age, so as it were. We take the view, because UN Women, we do not have capacity to be in combat, that we need political solutions for many of these areas. We may not necessarily be the leading agency of the UN in facilitating that, but we canvass a lot for the involvement of women in those countries, so that whatever dispensation that is evolving in those areas, it does involve women, because they tend to bring a particular voice. We've seen it, for instance, a fresh one is in Colombia, where we are very active, so active there that for the UN system, it is UN Women that is leading in the dialogue, in the peacemaking efforts, and we're working together with all our colleagues, but UN Women is playing a significant role in that dialogue. So that would be our entry point. When it comes into recruiting of senior leaders for all the agencies of the UN, we are always campaigning for women. For women to be appointed and to be considered at a senior position. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But this is, as for us, very critical, because even though under the current SG, we have seen a large increase of appointments of women in senior position, the biggest in the history of the United Nations. But there's still some way to go, and we keep on urging him to just stay with the course. And since he also regards this as a priority for him, we continue to encourage him to move forward. On the issue of rapes, in which our own UN forces may be involved, we also, with the Human Rights Commission, call for transparency and call for law to take its course, be it laws of the countries in which the crimes were committed, or laws of the countries in which the forces are coming from. I have to say that it is not satisfactory at this point, what we see, but we continue to work together with the Human Rights Commission to make sure that these issues are addressed by us as United Nations, as well as by member states.